In case you're wondering what 64 feet 6 inches looks like, go to the Fan Upstate Instagram or Twitter at the Fan Upstate and look at the photo that Cole and I just posted from our studios. It was hard to find a hallway that was 64 feet long inside this building, but we did it. I had to use the 10-foot tape measure stretched out 6.5 times to get there, Cole. But man, what a game winner from J.J. Spaun, U.S. Open champion in 2025, the only player to come in under par in this tournament. I absolutely loved it. Give me more of that.
You need one of those rolling tape measures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wasn't here to see you do the 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
I lost
count. I wish I could have seen it.
It was hard to count 6 of those without messing it up.
We need to purchase one of those. We need an Odyssey Greenville. What are those? You know what I'm talking about. Just the one you roll. And
the measuring wheel
Yeah,
thing.
the measuring wheel. That's what it is.
Realtors use it.
I still don't think, though, to give credit where credit's due, I still don't think when you measure 64 feet, I still don't think on a hallway like the picture you posted, I don't think it does justice for that shot. I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. I told a buddy of mine this morning, Diesel, after watching it, I think I could be wrong here, and you could probably pull some advanced data to get an exact number. I bet if you took that shot 50 more times, he wouldn't hit it.
Of course
50 times, maybe 100. Like that was just unbelievable. I wasn't a fan. I wasn't the biggest fan of the entire tournament as a whole, but the putt itself, that was absolutely just magical is what it was.
So according to Golf Digest, the probability of a PGA Tour professional holding a putt from around 65 feet is just under 2%. And he had
Say
to
that
do
again?
2%
For 65 feet.
For a 65-foot putt. And he had to do it in the rain after a 90-minute delay, with the rain hitting water hitting him in the face, going up and over a crest, left to right.
And that ball turned a good bit too.
Yeah.
I wonder what that putt would have looked like, Diesel, if that green wasn't wet. I just wonder if that were a dry green, how much it would have impacted that putt. Because that was, it won't be talked about, but in terms of like clutch moments, Sports Center top 10s, Diesel, that was as good of as a putt as you could. I compare it to Rory's shot, what was it, in April at Augusta. I can't remember which hole, where it just absolutely turned left and rode the trees, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the most magical shots I've ever seen. You put it up there with that. I mean, that was and did you hear what he had to go through the night before with his wife and his baby was sick? He
was up all night.
He was at CVS at 5 a.m. I mean, he didn't sleep. And first 5 shots, the first 5 holes, rather, it was rough.
Yeah.
Credit to J.J. Spaun.
Yeah, an incredible finish for J.J. Being the only golfer there to finish under par is unprecedented. It was an incredibly difficult course, an incredibly difficult test, and we'll get into some of the statistics and some of the context and reasoning around that, Cole. But it really was special what we saw at the U.S. Open. Like I said, I loved it. I love seeing guys that typically perform well, that are used to playing under pure conditions, as people would call it in golf, having to struggle and having to fight the course and having to essentially hack their way out of a lot of bad situations. And we saw a lot of those bad situations yesterday.
What was the word that my buddy Brock used last week on there? Carnage, right? I mean, it's truly like, look, I tell you this all the time. What do I always say? I try to see both sides of everything, whether it be sports or non-sports related, Diesel. I wasn't the biggest fan just because of the big names. For me, I'm a casual golf fan. I'm not a diehard golf fan.
Makes sense.
So when I see Bryson missing the cut, Ludwig, Justin Rose, Justin Thomas, Shane Lowry, Tommy Fleetwood, I'm not saying these are all great golfers, but Wyndham Clark, Patrick
These are the names you know.
Yeah, these are the names I know. Akshay Bhatia. All of those guys missing the cut. For me, man, it was like, what am I watching? Now, J.J. Spaun was incredible. You said it. I mean, he was truly remarkable this weekend, and I'm not taking anything away from what he did. But I do think, and JD brought up an interesting point on the golf purist. I don't know how the golf purists felt about it, but I do wonder for people like me, and maybe Tolo's out there, Diesel, who are also golf casuals, not diehard golf fans, but golf casuals, kind of like the NBA Finals, right? There's no big market team in the NBA Finals. How many non-NBA guys are watching the Finals? Thunder, Pacers, does it really move the meter? We'll see what those ratings look like, but overall, I do applaud JJ Spaun. It was terrific.
In a world where people say all the time that they're bored of watching any given sport, right? We're bored. Yeah. This is boring. This is not good. This is not good sport. Well, throwing a curveball in there, like the U.S. Open and Oakmont itself already being incredibly difficult, and then throwing rain at them on top of it, changing the way those greens play, because it really slows that ball down. If he had hit that exact same putt 2 days ago when the weather was perfect, he would have sailed that putt on the other side of the green. If there was a bunker over there, it would have been in the bunker. JJ Spaun, by the way, jumped from 25th to 8th in the world golf rankings as of this morning. So the dude is the dude's incredible. He jumped his way into the top 10. So even if you didn't know his name before, you're going to know it now. A -1 overall with an even par 72 final round. It was disastrous. His front nine, he would have won that tournament going away. I think if his child hadn't been sick the night before and he hadn't been up at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, running to a CVS, he shot a 40 on the front nine. He had 6 bogeys in his final round, made the 64-foot, 6-inch putt to win by 2. He had already putted for the most total distance before the 64-footer on 18, meaning, he had the longest combined putts of any golfer in the entire tournament, and he made $4.3 million for coming in first in the U.S. Open.
It's not bad, right?
No.
Not bad. Oh, speaking of winning money, Diesel, in my golf pool that I was in, 426 players, I didn't finish where I wanted. I did finish 18th, which $150. So the entry fee was $25. I doubled my money, which is okay, I guess. I was still a little greedy. I was upset I didn't finish top 3, right, and get up in the big numbers. But 18 out of 426 for a guy that doesn't really know golf's not terrible.
You got your money back?
Doubled it, yeah.
Doubled it. There you go.
So, I mean, it could have been worse.
And to your point about not having the biggest names up there, contending, sure, that happened. The biggest names weren't there. Most people, you'd be hard-picked to pull Robert McIntyre out of a lineup. Yeah. You're not going to know him.
And what happened to Scotty?
Well, we'll get into Scotty here in just a second.
Rough.
Tyrrell Hatton, he faded down the stretch. I think a lot of people had high hopes for Victor Hovland. I think he's an emerging star on this circuit. Obviously, was it Adam Scott who
he was strong, but
he was strong and he faded down the stretch as well. He had won a U.S. Open 10 years ago. So I mean,
he's like 45,
he used to be a big name on
years old. Yeah,
used to be a big name out there. But yeah, in the case of Scotty Scheffler, I think what made for a lot of people made the tournament compelling up through the first 2/3 of yesterday's round was, could Scotty make a run?
Yeah.
Could Scotty really push to get up there in the top 2, top 3? And I think he ran out of holes. He was playing okay. He was playing par golf, and I think, without pulling up his scorecard here, played close to par golf on the day. But when the best players who are in the top 5 go on a little bit of a birdie streak on the back 9, his par golf just wasn't good enough.
I'll tell you what, from the highlights that I saw, because I didn't watch a ton on Saturday and Sunday, but the highlights that I saw, he was not good on the greens. I mean, he was just not himself.
A lot of 2 putts.
Did you see there was one putt yesterday where I can't remember if I had tuned it. Yeah, right before I left the house yesterday, I did have it on. And I was about to walk out the door. And it's like a 4-foot putt. And he just misses wide. I'm like,
sailed it, huh?
What is it? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
For him to play that way, you're just not used to it. Now, every single time I saw him or saw a highlight, he was frustrated. Like, he was frustrated from the driving range to the putting greens all weekend. It just wasn't his weekend. And you have it, right? In golf, you have it. But to see the best in the world struggle like he did, I don't know, man. It's golf's a crazy sport.
Scotty went level par for the last 2 rounds, and like I was saying, he played par golf on Sunday, But when J.J. Spaun goes birdie on 4 of the last 7 holes, you're not going to be able to catch up to that. Robert McIntyre birdied 2 of the last 5. Victor Hovland birdied 17. Ultimately, it just wasn't enough for Scotty. And I thought that was a compelling storyline. I wish Scotty had gone on a heater, but, that plays into that whole narrative that Scotty is one of the best tee to green players in golf ever, probably, but definitely right now. But he's not the absolute best on the green. And if you are playing in weird conditions where the ball is going to take weird hops, where it's going to just stop dead, or it's going to spin way back, and obviously with the really tough hole placements that they put together on Sunday, you got long putts. It's easy to turn those into 2s and 3s once you're already on the green.
No, it is. And to see him struggle is just not what you want. Now, I will say, I did not like what happened to Sam Burns, Diesel, on Sunday.
He got screwed.
I thought he did as well. So here's what happened. If you Tolos don't know, if you weren't watching, on the par 4 15th hole, he was tied for the lead, right? Sam Burns, Diesel, probably played, top 3 golf all weekend, all 4 rounds. Mm-hmm. So he hits a drive. The ball settles on the fairway. In any other time, this is a 10 out of 10 shot. It's on the fairway. Yeah. What does everybody say about Oakmont? Get it on the fairway. Get on the fairway. And after a heavy rain delay, he goes out. He's taking some practice hacks, right? And he's just spitting up water. Hack water. Now, a friend of mine was telling me this morning, and I thought this was really interesting. I didn't know this. He called 2 rules officials over, right? I knew that part. They denied it both times for him to drop the ball. My friend told me, he said, when it comes to the rules officials, they watch where your feet are. And he said there was no water where his feet were, and that is why they kind of effed him a little. I mean, Diesel, that wasn't fair in my mind.
Here's the rule. This is USGA Rule 16.1.
Yep.
Relief for casual water is only granted when the ball lies in or on the water itself, and it was not. You could see where that ball was. He was standing over on the right-hand side. For anybody who didn't watch it, he was standing on the right-hand side of the fairway. His ball was maybe a foot from the first cut of the fringe.
Yeah.
And his ball, sitting a foot away, was on quote-unquote dry grass.
Yeah.
Just below his ball, you could certainly see water pooling up on the edge, sitting up against that first cut. His feet were standing on dry ground. The ball was on dry ground. That's why it's not. That's why relief was not granted. So the ball has to lie in or on the water itself, or the intended stance or swing is directly impeded by it. So if his stance would have been in a puddle, they would have granted him relief.
That's right.
But that wasn't the case.
Unfortunately, the rule, we talk about this all the time in the NFL, right? It was a bad rule. I think that, unfortunately, that rule, the way it's written, doesn't allow for much negotiation, right? Like where he went on to double bogey. From there, he went into the rough.
Well, wasn't everybody essentially playing out of really wet conditions at that point?
It was all
why
wet.
Would you grant him? Why would you grant him an opportunity to improve his lie when it doesn't? Nothing about the rule is impeded. His swing and his stance were not impeded by water.
It's just a matter of, for me, when he was chopping those practice swings, the amount of water that was coming up, it was crazy.
And maybe if you wanted to say maybe they shouldn't have put him back out on the course that quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
the rain delay because he's
they had
playing
just come
the
out of
best.
the rain delay.
He's playing the best.
Yeah.
He goes from there into the rough, and then after that shot, Diesel, he's back in the rough. He couldn't even get out of the 2 shots in the rough. He double bogeyed, and the rest was history. He was pretty much done.
So to that point, and JD brought it up, and we heard it at the very tail end of the Rich Eisen show. Rich's producer pulled up the idea, Cole, that all Super Bowls should be played indoors in pristine conditions.
Because it's the
Do you agree? The U.S. Open is the Super Bowl of golf in the American sport. I mean, you could argue the Masters, whatever. That's fine. But it's a major. It's the biggest game of the biggest tournament of the year. They were in adverse conditions, rainy weather, making their practice swings. They were splashing water. I mean, could you argue that you don't want to see football played in terrible conditions when it's the Super Bowl either? Now, granted, I know they play a lot of Super Bowls in the South and out West, so it's not typically a problem. But Let's just pretend for a moment that we're trying to compare apples to apples.
No, I don't like that because I've always been a proponent, Diesel, of the elements are just part of the game. That I've always been that way with football.
Why is it not the case in golf?
With golf? Now, with golf, it is, right? But his ball where it landed, the reason I say that I don't like it, his ball where it landed, nobody else's ball landed in that exact spot. So his ball lands in a tough spot. If everybody's ball had to land in that exact spot, I'd agree with you. Well, everybody has to play it from there. However, this is where I go to Rob Brown's promo that he has, and we talked about this when you were on vacation. I say we. I talked about it about he has a promo talking about luck's not a real thing. And I tried to debunk that and saying luck's definitely a real thing. I go to this situation, this illustration. This is bad luck. Coming off of a rain delay, he hits it on the fairway. This is bad luck.
Yeah.
2.0. There's no debating that. You can't say, well, Sam Burns should have hit it, in a better spot. Like they had just got off of a rain delay. He literally hit it on the fairway. To me, it's just bad luck, and he goes on to really, really just derail. And I think I would have liked the USGA to step in.
So maybe here, and you can't touch the ball, right? It's not like you can mark the ball and then put it back in that exact position like you're on the putting surface. Maybe if they could have squeegeed off, because they have those like rollers that you can squeegee grass with, maybe if they could have squeegeed that 1.5 feet below the ball and cleared up some of that water, it essentially allowed some more water to drain down away from his ball. Maybe you could have argued that they could have done that for him. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, at some point, it's like you play it as it lies. It is what it is, right? This game isn't fair. It's cruel. It puts you in a bad spot. I mean, think about it this way, Cole. How many golfers, and I know I saw it at least 2 or 3 times yesterday. How many golfers did we see miss badly? And it ended up being a better shot or better situation for their next shot because they had hit it out to where the spectators had trampled the grass down. Well, so a small miss, they would have landed in that really thick rough, that 5-inch thick rough between the fairway and the out-of-bounds line. But because they hit it so badly that they landed on trampled grass, it ended up being good luck.
Well, I think that course was so wonky to begin with. You add in rain, it totally, it's not like you can't account for anything. You can't predict anything. You can't say, okay, I'm going to hit it in this spot of the fairway because the course was wonky as it was, right? It was a tough course, and then you add in the rain that they got delayed. J.J. Spaun before the rain delay wasn't playing the best. No. J.J. Spaun after the rain delay was great. Sam Burns,
get a lot of him to refocus.
Yeah,
he went and he changed his clothes so that he could get back into a better spot.
Sam Burns after the rain delay, not great. So again, trying to see both sides. I do appreciate the fact that sports, in the elements, in the weather, sometimes the ball doesn't roll your way. It happens. That's just part of sports. But at the same time, I sometimes do think that's why there are officials, right?
If you had it your way, Cole, congratulations. I've just made you head designer of Oakmont Golf Course.
Okay, gotcha.
Probably going to be, another 9-10 years before the U.S. Open comes back to Oakmont. Would you want to make the course easier in the next 9 years? Whatever that means. Yeah. Widening fairways, shortening roughs.
I mean, the greens are huge.
Bunkers.
I don't have a problem with the greens. The greens are huge.
Right.
I mean, they are like monstrous greens.
Yeah.
It looks different. I retweeted a couple of guys, and I'm trying to give you a good answer here. I retweeted a couple of tweets from Jamie Kennedy, Diesel, on Twitter. He is of Golf Digest. He had some really good before and afters of Oakmont, of what it looked like, years ago with all the trees. I'm sure you've seen the pictures, but I retweeted them. To answer your question, would I make it easier? Well, it depends what my end goal is. If you're the USGA, is your end goal to make the U.S. Open incredibly difficult to where it's not your typical Sunday finish, to where it's not your typical weekend performance, to make it that road course, to make it that tough, the tough outliers, the tough conditions that people aren't used to playing in? If that's your goal, keep it that way. If your goal is to, in my mind, introduce casual golf fans or keep casual golf fans engaged and help grow the game, I think you do make it a little bit easier because you do want to see some of the big names playing in my mind.
Yeah, but doesn't every other tournament on the tour do that? I mean, doesn't the Travelers and the PGA and the Masters and TPC at Sawgrass, don't they all do that? Don't they all set up so that the best players in the world can score really well? Why can't we have one that's different from the others?
And you can, but again, if it's the Super Bowl, using your term, if it's your Super Bowl of golf, again, if that's what golf wants, I say, hey, go for it. But I would also say go look and see what ratings were this weekend compared to the PGA Championship and the Players and Augusta. Like if that's what you want, then you've got it. And you add in rain, and you can forget having any kind of playable, predictable course. It's just extremely tough. It's a good conversation though, but ultimately you have to answer your question, you have to decide, well, the USGA, because it's their decision, right? What's the end goal? And I guess Diesel, without knowing, I guess their end goal is to do what you said and have it that one-off where it's extremely difficult, right?
So statistically, this was the third most difficult Open in the last 20 years. 2006 at Winged Foot, the winning score was +5, with the cut line being +9. So if you want to compare it to something, yes, this was really difficult. Third most difficult in the last 20 years. However, it wasn't nearly as difficult as Winged Foot was in 2006.
Yep.
Forgive me, I don't remember what the conditions were. I don't know if they were playing a dang hurricane.
Right.
But +5 was the winning score, +9 was the cut. The average field score for that event was 74.99, so 5 over par. In 2016 at Oakmont and 2025 here at Oakmont, they played fairly similarly, with the average score in 2025 being just slightly higher than the 2016.
Yeah. And again, if that's what they want, you could say they accomplished that, right? Like if that's what the USGA wants, for them to be able to say, hey, we have a very difficult course, and I think they accomplished it. And you add in rain, and it's really tough. Though, before we run to a break, Diesel, again, I said it was a conversation I had when you were on vacation a couple of weeks ago. I took the strong stance that luck is definitely a real thing in sports. Rob Brown thinks otherwise. Since you weren't here, 30 seconds or less, is luck in sports a real thing?
No, luck is not a thing. Luck is a series of circumstances that you either assign positivity or negativity to. There's no luck that made your ball turn in just the right way. I think it's skill, lack thereof, focus, lack thereof.
I completely disagree with it. Because there are just so many instances in all of sports, Diesel, I look at and say, there was no, the skill. Yeah, you're right. It does take skill to win. However, sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way. And Rob said you're not lucky in the promo. He says you're not lucky. You were unprepared. Well, I don't believe that.
If the ball doesn't bounce your way, that's because you did something wrong. Your swing was
not necessarily. I'm saying like in football
was off
or
angle. Your ball flight was curved because you hit the ball slightly across the face.
But in football, though, balls bounce the wrong way. In baseball, like for example, do you remember when I can't remember the batter back in the 90s or 2000s? The batter, he swung, hit the ball, and hit a bird. Was he unprepared that day? That's what I'm saying. Like the batter was unprepared because his ball. That's the logic though that we're using.
Well, it's unlucky for the bird, that's for sure.
Yeah, but you're telling me the batter was unprepared because he hit a bird.
A bird should have had his head on a swivel.
That is called bad luck. It happens. All right. Also, the NBA Finals are happening. We had a incredible comeback over the weekend. Diesel, I don't know that going up 3-2 solidifies you winning the series or puts the dagger in per se, but one team tonight could have the opportunity to put the dagger in Dagonaut. Will it be the Pacers or the Thunder? Let's get into that next. 2 segments in a row, I'm going to critique a Rob Brown promo. Did he say Chanticleers, Diesel?
Yeah.
Does Rob Brown?
They shan't lose a game before it's over to Clears.
Rob Brown. Let's learn how to say it right. On the count of 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Chanticleers.
It's from Chaucer, by the way.
It's from where?
Chaucer.
Chaucer. I didn't know that.
The Canterbury Tales.
I love this. I love that mask. I just love the name, love the mascot, love the baseball team. They're winning right now. By the way,
to your point earlier about the bird strike, though, in baseball, there's no officially recorded instance of a live ball hit that hits a bird, like off the batter's bat that hits a bird.
Gotcha.
You're thinking of Randy Johnson hitting a bird with. I mean, he didn't just hit the bird; he obliterated that bird.
Yeah.
Now there is a scene in the movie Major League where Pedro Serrano is rounding first, and his ball mid-flight strikes a pigeon out of the air, and instead of going to second, he has to run out into the outfield to check on the bird and make sure it's okay.
Yeah.
And, well, then the outfielder just tags him with the ball, and he's out.
Randy Johnson then should have been more prepared. He should not have allowed his fastball to hit a bird.
No.
That's bad on him.
The bird should have been paying attention. Birds can get through.
Birds are dumb, though.
I know that a bird has a brain the size of the end of my thumb, but like birds fly through trees, they fly around obstacles all the time. You know, bird's got to keep his head on a swivel.
The bird's fault. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open, 844-326-3663. Phone line's also open. It's Overreaction Monday. We have that coming up at 5 p.m. Going to get into the College World Series at 4. A little audio blitz for you as we have so much to get to later in the show when it comes to audio from over the weekend, from the U.S. Open, from the NBA, from Coastal Carolina. I mentioned Overreaction Monday, Marketplace Monday, and 2 different daily wires today because there have been so many headlines to come to throw your way. But let's get into the NBA Finals, Diesel, in this very segment. If you have been watching or watched over the weekend or watching tonight, let us know your thoughts as the Indiana Pacers, Diesel, kind of choked Game 4 away a little bit on Friday night.
Yeah, you could call it that. Up 10 in the fourth quarter.
10. Yeah. I don't remember exactly how many minutes were left.
It was early. It was relatively early in the fourth quarter.
Thunder, though, defeated the Pacers 111-104. The Pacers kind of led that game for the majority of the contest. The Thunder came back late. Big win for Oklahoma City. So the series is tied at 2, with Game 5 being tonight, 8:30 p.m. on ABC. Oklahoma City, Diesel, at home, a 9.5-point favorite.
Yep.
I've been picking Oklahoma City the whole time. But tonight, I would lean towards taking Indiana plus 9.5. That's a lot of points to be favored by. This series has been pretty even.
It is, and the fact that
Wire to Wire, what's your name?
No 2 teams won back-to-back games in this series bodes well for Indiana tonight. I mean, granted, they're walking into, you're wearing the shirt, a hornet's nest of that arena there in Oklahoma City. That crowd is going to be insane. That place is going to be loud.
Yeah, you didn't know I was a Hornets fan, by the way, did you?
Yeah, I know. I mean, you'll wear anything if they give it to you for free, right?
Right.
Don't look in Cole's closet.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I still think Oklahoma City is probably going to win tonight, and I know that I changed my mind. So I don't want to be known as too much of a flip flopper, because on Friday I said that I thought Indiana was going to win Game 4 at home and really take control of this series. Didn't happen. I mean, it's a great series.
But you can't
it's a great series.
Because I'll tell you this, even me who picked Oklahoma City to win the series, Diesel, today on this Monday, the 16th of June, I don't feel great about really either. Like, do I think Oklahoma City's going to win tonight? Like, yeah, I think so, but am I really confident that they're going to win? Not really. It's just been so even. I think I had higher expectations for Oklahoma City before the series started, which led me to pick them. Right now, if you told me Indiana's going to win the series, I'd say, okay, you're probably going to be right. Like, I think it's truly a coin flip. They might come out and cover tonight, But if I had a bet right now, I'd take Indiana plus 9.5. That's just a lot of points in an NBA Finals game. Let's go to the phone lines. John wants to weigh in on the conversation at 844-326-3663. What's up, John?
I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm over 70, and there is definitely luck in sports. I mean, you take a guy hitting a golf ball, and he goes into the woods, and it bounces off a tree, and he gets a hole-in-one. I mean, I know he planned on that tree being there 20 years ago when it was planted, and he waited for that day to hit the ball.
So John, if luck is a real thing, okay, as you say, luck is a real thing, how do you quantify it? If it's a real thing, it's a measurable thing.
Yeah, here's how it's quantified. There was another guy talking about this, and he was talking about how fan motivation gets you going, and he was trying to pull out some other stuff to pull this mysterious force, good luck or bad luck, out of the air. The big difference is when luck is involved, it's like The Bird by Randy Johnston. It's like hitting a tree. It's some weird physical thing that no one foresaw or planned on, but happens. And it's a physical interference. It's like if there's no wind all day and the guy's kicking that field goal, and suddenly as he kicks it, a 60-mile-an-hour gust comes up, and so instead of it going down the middle like it should have, it veers to the left or right. I mean, it's some weird fit. That's the trick here. It's a physical interference in what should be a natural course of events that causes something different to happen that should have. And that's what luck is.
So it's an entirely unexplainable random act of,
Yeah.
That's what luck is?
Yeah.
That's what,
Oh, come on.
Exactly.
So you
That's
can't
what
you
luck
can't say
is.
that it's a real thing if you can't explain
I
it.
think you're overthinking it. I think you're overthinking it, Diesel.
Come on.
You're so smart, you're overthinking it.
No, nobody's ever said that to me before.
I did explain it. It's a physical interference. That's a quantifiable thing. It's not an imaginary, my fans got me motivated, I got an adrenaline rush. That's a physical thing. But when something like totally abnormal happens that's physical, that's what makes it good or bad luck. Good luck for the golfer that got the hole-in-one. Like you said, bad luck for the bird that didn't have his head on a swivel. Come on. When they're flying through trees, the tree's not going 100 miles an hour. The bird might be going 10 or 20, but a fastball from Randy Johnston is, 110? Who knows? So, no, that's the big difference, and I'll let you guys talk about it after, but it's the physical interference of something.
Okay.
That's the big difference about luck.
Any thoughts on Game 5 tonight?
Yeah, I know who I want to win, but we know the betting angles. Yeah, no, I'm going for Indiana. I'm going again with that. They're at home. No, and they're going to pull this one out. But I'm not. I wouldn't bet money on it. I'm a gambler, so I believe in luck, and this ain't the kind of lucky time to bet on it.
Thanks for the call, John. I kind of agree with him on that. I don't know where to go. Like, this series is just. Both teams are good. I told you right when the series started, Diesel, that Indiana's the team for me that you kind of just scratch your head and you can't really figure out how they're so good. And I think that just makes it. I tell you what it is for me, it's coaching. Rick Carlisle, I believe, should be the MVP if they win the series. Don't give it to a player. Don't give it to Tyrese Halliburton. Give the MVP trophy to Rick Carlisle, because you look at this team and you watch them play and you think, how are they so good? Well, Rick Carlisle's been around the block a time or two, Diesel, and I think coaching ultimately, not saying that Mark Daigneault's not a good coach.
Yeah.
He is a good coach, but I do think Rick Carlisle is the better coach in this series.
So, I have to apologize. I didn't watch game number 4 on, was that Friday night?
Uh-huh.
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was out doing things with the wife. But I would imagine Mark Daigneault figured out, hey, maybe we shouldn't run our starters into the ground. Maybe we shouldn't wear our starters out. Now, you would think he would have learned that after game 1, but he didn't, and the Pacers blew him out in game 2, or outran them in game 2. And he learned that in game 3, and then he didn't do it in game 4. So if he's really learned his lesson, which is I got to get bench production, I got to keep my starters fresh, I can't leave SGA out there for 45 out of, 48 minutes?
Yeah, he played 40.
I can't.
Friday.
Yeah, I can't leave him out there that long and wear him down to a nub. if he's figured that out and he's figured out the exact right amount of time to make those changes and to give SGA a rest, I think OKC probably takes Game 5 here at home.
I'll tell you what I think I just found before we run to a break. I think I figured out the key for Oklahoma City. I'm seeing if this is a trend real quick. When they won Friday, Alex Caruso had 20. Okay? He's a big part of what they do coming off the bench, Diesel. Guess what? When they won on Sunday, he had 20. Caruso did off the bench. When they lost on Thursday and Wednesday, guess what he didn't have? 12 points. And when they won on the Thursday, the two times that they've won, it is a trend. So look at there. So it's tied 2-2, right? Game 5 tonight. Both wins. Alex Caruso's had 20 points off the bench.
Interesting.
That's a big part of it. And the Lakers should have never let that guy go, by the way. Should have never let him go. But maybe Alex Caruso is the guy that we're not spending enough time talking about.
Texter says, fun fact, Randy Johnson is now a photographer, and his logo is a dead bird. Wow.
If that's true, that's fine.
What should Ken Griffey, because Ken Griffey Jr. is a photographer now as well.
He is.
What would Ken Griffey Jr.'s logo be? The ball sailing over a wall?
That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr., just a home run, I don't know, a home run every single
It'd probably
time.
be like a loop, like that perfect Ken Griffey Jr. swing.
Yeah.
How many of us, and I'm dating myself here, I'm 41, how many of us roughly in that age group bought the Ken Griffey Jr. tape to learn how to swing like Ken Griffey Jr., to learn how to swing for the fences?
He's pretty good.
How many of us all tried how many of us tried to swing in like one hand and our baseball coaches got mad at us? Said, stop swinging, keep both hands on the bat, okay?
Wesley
You're not
said,
Ken Griffey.
Steroid pill should be his logo. How about that? Oh, by the way, Wesley, how about this? He's always in Puerto Rico, but he says, Diesel, he's back in Greenville for a few months, wants to come be a guest on the show. He says Tolo from Puerto Rico deserves it. Next time we're at Ingles, Wesley, absolutely. You got to come. Are we at Ingles Wednesday, by the way?
We will be at Ingles on Wednesday. We'll
Wesley?
be at the Ingles at, Cole, maybe you can get to it faster than I can.
Powdersville, Piedmont.
Powdersville, Piedmont. We'll come
So
see us,
if
Wesley.
you can't see us there, Wesley, the next one in July, we'll have two. In July, I did look earlier, July the 9th, we're at Poinsett Highway in Greenville, just not far from downtown, so that'd be a good one as well.
When we come back, Cole, the Major League Baseball writers have completely forgotten about the Atlanta Braves.
Oh.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll discuss it and what they may be looking to do ahead of the trade deadline next. Being at the bottom of the Major League standings is a terrible and depressing place to be. But I'll argue in this segment, Cole, that being where the Atlanta Braves are, 10 games under 500 at this point of the season, is actually a worse spot because you're in no man's land. Nobody's talking about you. Nobody cares. Nobody's saying, here's what the Braves can do and plan to do to get better, to make a push and have a decent back half of the season. No, they're just not talking about him at all, really. Buster Olney wrote a piece on ESPN.com. It's currently up right now, titled "The 2025 Trade Deadline: Front Office Execs Under the Most Pressure." And he lists off the executives from the Diamondbacks, Phillies, Rangers, Mariners, Orioles, Royals, and Cubs, with no mention whatsoever of Alex Anthopoulos and the Atlanta Braves. Because you have good talent, they're either locked up or nobody wants them because, well, they're not playing well right now. And you're so bad that nobody's going to sell you players anyway. So they're in a really bad spot right now, Cole, in this no man's land where you're not bad enough to blow it up and start over, but you're not good enough to really be aggressive and go acquire talent to push for an NL wildcard spot this year.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of comical, Diesel. I guess comical is the only word I can think of right now when it comes to where the Braves are and, you know, how people view the Braves in terms of the national media. Here's what I will tell you, and I've had complaints about this for a very long time. Even when the Braves are good, we still don't get covered. We still don't get applauded. The Braves have never been the Diamondbacks. The Braves have never been the Yankees. The Braves have always been the redheaded stepchild in terms of the 2021 season. Nobody, and I have clips saved on my Twitter, nobody, none of the national media gave the Braves any credit down the stretch and talked about that. So my point being, even when the Braves are good, I'm used to not getting any respect from the national media. But now, you know what? You're on an island, and the only way to really change your narrative, Diesel, change your mind, is to put together, I'm not saying close to what happened in 2021, but an incredible and impeccable second half of the season. That's the only way to get out of it in my mind.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the Braves, a storied franchise, right? They got a couple of World Series pennants. They had that incredible run in the 90s where they won how many pennants in a row? I mean, they were incredible, but they just didn't win World Series in that decade. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're not looked at in the same reverence or with the same reverence of the St. Louis Cardinals? You know, when you talk about blue bloods of Major League Baseball, it's Cardinals, Yankees, Dodgers,
even the Red Sox.
I mean,
that's
maybe those four. I mean, people talk about the Cubs with reverence, but the Cubs were so awful for a long time.
Sure.
It was sort of just an inside joke. Like, how can they be this bad forever? Is there no place for Atlanta, for the premier Southern Major League Baseball team?
You know what? Maybe I think there's several reasons that you could attribute it to. Maybe the fact, Diesel, that, and this is a black eye. Like, let's be honest about this. When the Atlanta Braves were as dominant as they were in the 90s, right? We all know how good the Braves were in the 90s. They had Maddox, they had Smoltz, they had the best talent, the best pitching staff in the world, right?
Sure.
However, guess what they did? They won one championship in a span of 10 years where they were the most dominant team. So maybe their ability to only win one championship in a dynasty-like era where they were just light years better on paper, maybe their fact that they didn't claim 2 or 3 championships in that era didn't put them up there with the likes of the Red Sox, right?
Well, this ought to make you sad a second time, Cole. A lot of insiders are believing that the Atlanta Braves may look to part ways with Marcell Ozuna, being that he's in the final year of his contract. Maybe AA thinking about moving on from the Big Bear.
You know, I'm surprised. It wouldn't surprise me because I'll tell you this. I thought it would have happened sooner than now. I really did, especially when he had all of his, issues, off the field issues a couple of years ago. I thought it might happen then, but they signed him to a pretty big contract. You just said it; it's running out. But Is it the right move? I don't know. He's been the best player the past 2 years.
Right. And what are you going to get for Ozuna?
He's
An aging
old.
player, right?
Yeah.
He's good, but how much longer can he be good for? How many prospects is a team really willing to give up for Marcell Ozuna?
Sure. It's interesting. Diesel, what's also interesting, Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers. College World Series happening, an elimination game tonight, and an in-state team, a force to be reckoned with. Diesel, we'll get into that next. How about Gage Wood and the Arkansas Razorbacks right now? They are up 3-0 on top of Murray State. I mean, just an impressive outing thus far by the Arkansas starter, who has gone 6 innings, Diesel. Nobody, I shouldn't say this because somebody out there is gonna yell and say, "Don't say it." He hadn't allowed many hits, and when I say many, I mean like any hits.
Sub 1. Sub 1 hit. Over under 0.5 hits. As of right now, he's hitting the under,
which is really good.
Yeah, that's solid.
Really, really good. Gage Wood just dealing right now. Diesel, 13 strikeouts. And he started the game. He came into the game with a 4.15 ERA, and he is shoving right now for Arkansas. Again, up 3-0 over Murray State. This is an elimination game because Arkansas lost to LSU and Murray State lost over the weekend as well. It looks as if right now the Cinderella story that was Murray State might be coming to an end because Coastal's Kevin Schnall said we are not a Cinderella story, which means Murray State has to be this year's Cinderella, right?
Yeah, a tremendous amount of credit goes to Murray State to getting to this point.
Yeah, they got there.
You did what you needed to do, and then you ran into a bad draw. You got cooled off at the wrong time, and just it is what it is. But Coastal Carolina is the real story.
They're the story. I'll tell you this: I continue to be proven not wrong. Like I'm not just saying I'm not going full like they shouldn't be there, but I'm continuing to be impressed. I'm continuing to be surprised, Diesel, the way they beat Oregon State yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just flat impressive. To your point about Coastal being the story, they whooped them 6-2.
Yep.
They dominated every facet of the game. Coastal Carolina is on an insane win streak right now. Kevin Schnall said it best. They're not a Cinderella story. And Diesel, I think some of us might have made a mistake and labeled Coastal as a Cinderella story again this year, but he's absolutely right. They are a dominant baseball program. We said last week they're the best program in the state of South Carolina, and they're proving that.
ACC bound in the future if they win another national championship. I mean, they could use all the help they could get over there in the ACC ranks. No, I mean, to have this 24-game win streak is incredible. To win the way that they're winning, putting up runs, shutting teams down, winning, rallying back to win. They're the team that's very multiple, right? It's really difficult to figure out how to beat them. And in that sense, you could compare them a little bit to the Indiana Pacers, where as soon as you think you got them nailed down over here, guess what? The dike is springing a leak somewhere else. And that's when they start scoring runs the other way or finding ways to win games the other way. They had a walk-off win against Auburn in the Super Regional Game 1. Yeah. They had a dominant pitching game in game number 2 that they won 4-1 at Auburn. You take them to Omaha. They rally in the 8th in game 1 against Arizona, won that game 7-4. And then Morrison had a phenomenal start yesterday and shut down an Oregon State team that knows how to score. So this team is just great.
Oh, man. Jacob was, to your point, incredible. Diesel, 7.2 innings yesterday. 1 run, 5 hits, 7 Ks. That was his best outing in a long, long time. Offensively yesterday, 3 RBI double from Colby Thorndike in the first inning, set the tone. And then you go back to the rally that you mentioned against Arizona. They fell behind. That was Friday, right? I think we were watching that game. They fell behind. Coastal Carolina surged late. 3-run rally in the 8th. Sebastian Alexander bloop RBI single, and a 2-run double after that by Blake Barthel. But I'm telling you what, this team, I believe what they're doing, Diesel, is they're putting the country on notice that they're, number 1, not a cute little story. Number 2, they recruit, develop, and use the portal as good as anybody. Now we're not saying like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Coastal won the whole thing? Now we're saying Coastal's maybe the best team out there. Simple.
Yeah. I mean, and it's fun that we're going to have a Coastal Carolina versus Coastal California matchup here coming up against UCLA.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that 2016 victory where they had been a really good program for a long time but hadn't quite broken out until 2016 when they won the whole thing, that's not a fluke, right? That they're not just that random little program that won from a tiny conference in the Big South and everybody else was down that year. People will find ways to justify anything, right?
Yeah.
But they have gone through a really good Auburn team, a really good Oregon State team, a really good Arizona team that took down a North Carolina team that we all thought had a chance to go win this thing as well. I mean, they are proving themselves the cream of the crop, the best of the best. And it's funny, Cole, in the Sun Belt Conference, Southern Miss takes baseball very seriously. Mm-hmm. Louisiana takes baseball very seriously. Coastal Carolina's the big dog in the conference now. And those schools are going to have to now figure something out because everybody thought that the power in that conference was out west. And yes, they got two really good programs over there. I'm trying to remember now. It's like, is Troy in the East or is Troy in the West? I think Troy's still in the East. Troy Coastal is a stronger 1-2 punch than Louisiana and Southern Miss.
And two teams made the postseason from that conference. So it just goes to show that you, in this new landscape of college athletics, Diesel, you can still win at these smaller programs. And also, what does it say about Kevin Schnall? Because we've talked about this at different levels, Diesel. We've talked about it with Alabama and Kalen DeBoer and the footsteps, the shoes that Kalen DeBoer had to fill when he replaced Nick Saban at Alabama were huge shoes. The shoes that Kevin Schnall had to fill following Gary Gilmore, like it wasn't. I'm not saying Gary Gilmore was Nick Saban by any stretch, but Gary Gilmore was pretty dang good. He's a Hall of Fame type coach, and in his first season, Sun Belt regular season, tournament title, Diesel, they entered Omaha as a 55-11 team. I mean, think about that. 55-11. And they didn't get respect, and now they're showing teams that they should get that RESPECT.
This is why it irks me so much when really good mid-major and group of five coaches just up and leave for a bigger, better opportunity because there's more money involved. Okay, let me rephrase that. A bigger opportunity, but not necessarily a better opportunity, because you can look at examples on the football side of things. Tulane's a great example of that. Boise State is a great example of that. And when you look at things on the baseball side of things, Coastal Carolina is an example that's playing out in front of our faces of programs that just have steady Eddie, consistent, really good coaches. And a coach, if you're in a good situation like that, and especially baseball is its own beast compared to basketball and compared to college football, but especially baseball, you don't need to bounce here and there to go chase money, chase patches on your jersey. You don't need to do that. Stay where you are. If you've got something special where you are, it's really, really hard to build that. And if you're willing to blow that up to go take a job at a middling Power 5 program that just fired their head coach who's never had a tremendous amount of success, then go for it. But I think you're setting yourself back when it comes to your ability to go win national championships and play on the biggest stage.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, money's one of those factors that sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't make sense when somebody does leave. But again, it's it does show that it can be done. You still have really good teams. Now, as much as we're talking about Coastal, as much credit as we have given them, it's still going to be challenging because there are still a few teams left in this thing that are going to give Coastal a run for their money. JD said on the YouTube stream, Coastal's in fantastic shape going forward as well. They haven't used much pitching, and they're in prime position. Look, you get those days off like they're doing. You get Monday, Tuesday off. They play Wednesday at 2 o'clock. It's TBD, and the other game Wednesday night's TBD as well. But you get some days off and you haven't lost, and all of a sudden you're a game away from punching your ticket to the finals. LSU's still really good. LSU just beat this Arkansas team that we're watching beat Murray State Diesel. So LSU's Anderson and Ianson are legit, both MLB guys. We know that Oregon State still, right, even though Coastal Carolina beat them on Sunday, Oregon State's still a good team. They play Louisville tomorrow at 2. They're still going to be as good as they have been defensively, right? They did have some errors late that cost them the other day, but it's been a really fun College World Series. Arizona's a team that kind of got booted. Murray State, right now, Diesel, it looks as if they're a couple of innings away from getting that boot, but you can certainly say, I don't know if you can say Coastal's the best team remaining, but you can certainly say they're in the mix because you look at the top teams right now, LSU, Coastal, and obviously Arkansas is going to have something to say. I think they can compete with anybody, though.
I wonder how much psychology comes into play when you're the bigger program from a bigger school and a bigger conference with a bigger budget and a bigger stadium and a bigger budget, bigger coaching staffs and all that stuff. I wonder how much of it comes into play, like you don't want to lose to the small school that nobody's ever heard of, quote unquote, air quotes. If you're watching on the stream, nobody's ever heard of. If you're UCLA, you probably never heard of Coastal Carolina. So you don't want to lose to that team. So you start playing a little bit tight against those kinds of teams. I wonder if there's anything involved with that, or if, the players would tell you, no, we respect everybody we play. We take everybody seriously. We prepare for everybody like they're a nameless, faceless opponent. Yeah, okay, sure. Well, you know what name is on the jersey in front of you. So you do have to prepare. You do have to, change what you do, tweak what you do for each individual team that you're going to face. Now, the one thing about, UCLA, they like to get out early. They put up a bunch of runs early, but Coastal Carolina, really good at coming back late. It's one of those teams that you cannot turn the TV off from if they get down 2-3 runs in the middle innings. You can't turn it off and say, well, it's over. They're not going to score 3 to come back and win this thing. They have really good late inning pitching, and they will shut teams down with their relievers and their closers, and then they can start stringing together runs in like that annoying little fashion that you just can't beat them.
So a couple of storylines as of right now, 2, Diesel, in my mind. Number 1, Arkansas's Gage Wood is pitching a no-no, top of the 8th. Arkansas leads Murray 3-0 at the moment, and they're now showing the pitcher sitting relaxed, calm, cool, collected in the Arkansas dugout. There are 2 outs in the top of the 8th, so it looks like Wood might make his way back out onto the field. It'd be incredible to see if he could. But no, Arkansas is going to go ahead and get some base hits in this inning as well. But that's number 1 storyline, Diesel. Could Arkansas, completely just boot Murray State out with a no-hitter was a cherry on top would be amazing. The second storyline tonight, 7 o'clock, UCLA LSU. You kind of feel like this is a blue blood matchup. And Jay Johnson, LSU Tigers, squaring off against UCLA tonight. This is going to be a really, really good one. I consider this like a marquee matchup. The Tigers of LSU Diesel, fresh off of a Saturday victory over Arkansas. You and I talked about on Friday just how much weight that game would hold. The fact that LSU knocked off Arkansas says a lot. Cade Anderson was just phenomenal on Saturday. He's 11-1 in the season now. He was pitched 7 innings. He only allowed 1 run, 3 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and 100 pitches in that performance on Saturday. But this is tonight. This is going to be a really good game. And when you look at how long can Coastal's run last, I think it's important to watch tonight's game because I'm not saying Coastal can't beat UCLA or LSU. I'm not saying that. They certainly can. But if you want to kind of see where this Coastal team stands, what their next game could look like, and I'm sure Kevin Schnall will have his eye on every single pitch tonight. By the way, LSU tonight, Diesel, minus 400, which heavy favorites tonight. I don't know if it'll be that much of a blowout. I think it might be a little bit closer, but LSU a big favorite tonight.
It's going to be fascinating to watch. Cole, this would be a good night if you had YouTube TV. And I know you do, so you'd be able to watch multiple games at the same time.
Let me tell you this.
NBA Finals, Game 5 on tonight, some college baseball. It's a good night.
It's a good sports night. I'm glad you brought up the YouTube TV. It took long enough But the best thing they did, they finally allowed the users to create their own multi-view. So now you can have all 4, whatever you want. If you want NCIS here and the NBA Finals here and Fox or CNN here and the Wizard of Oz here, you can have it. Used to, you had to go down Diesel and choose from their options of multi-view on YouTube TV.
Man.
They would pair them up, but now it's completely up to you. That's the way it should be. It's great. Did you know, I don't know if you've seen this, but during the U.S. Open, yesterday when I was flipping through, and what little bit I did watch yesterday, they had a 4-screen multi-view of the U.S. Open, all 4 different camera angles, all 4 different groups. I'm telling you, YouTube
Nice.
TV's killing it right now. 4 screens on one?
How is it that, I have Roku. How is it that they haven't figured that out too? Like, why haven't they,
Roku TV, is that what it is?
yeah, like picture in picture. It's not Roku TV.
Oh, it's not?
It's just a whole page full of apps and you tap on the
Well,
app.
see, I have Roku.
Right. So why haven't they figured out or created your ability within Roku to launch multiple apps at the same time on the
You're
same
saying
screen?
you could have one app over
Because
here.
that's annoying to have to, bounce out, find the other app, log back
Prime
in,
or
go to the sports section.
Paramount,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. So why haven't they figured that out? Like, picture in picture is nothing new, right?
Yeah.
At least give people the option to do picture in picture.
That'd be tough,
Or do a
though.
50-50 split.
How you could load different ones. That'd be. I'm not saying it's.
I mean, if you got
impossible.
the bandwidth for it, why not?
Right.
Why not?
To have Paramount, Prime, different.
Sure.
So I have Roku, but I'll tell you this: I'm mainly on Roku. The only things I watch YouTube TV 90% of the time. Prime a little bit because NFL Thursdays on Prime, NASCAR's on Prime.
Yep. Well, they put a lot of this stuff on Max for the longest time through
Yeah.
the playoffs.
Is that HBO?
Yes.
HBO?
HBO,
HBO Max?
HBO
I
Max.
call it
they
HBO.
had
It's
playoffs.
called Max now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're about to change it back. By the way.
Oh yeah.
But they had the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs up until the finals, and now the finals are on ABC.
Wait a minute. How did that? Wait a minute. How'd that Murray State racer just get on first base?
Uh-oh.
How'd it happen? We weren't looking. We were looking at each other. Wait a minute. Has it happened? Here we go. Here's a replay. Oh, it hit him. It hit him in the foot.
Oh,
it hit him in the foot.
Caught him on the foot.
So the no still good.
Still alive.
It hit him in the foot.
I mean, just barely caught the top of his foot.
Oh, this is interesting now because now all of a sudden Murray State has a little momentum. No outs, bottom of the 8th. Arkansas leads 3-0, but there's a runner on first, Diesel. That might be one of the few base runners today, right?
JD says that's why I hate NASCAR on Amazon. I can't flip back and forth between channels. Yeah, you should be able to tag a broadcast.
Yeah.
If it's the NASCAR race on Amazon, you should be able to hit the little star button and heart this thing and say that's what I want to be able to bounce back to. So I'm going to close this app and I'm going to open up Golf on ESPN, and if I hit the back button, I should be able to bounce back and forth between those two.
So at
least just be able to quickly do it. Otherwise, it's a pain in the butt, especially on college football, game days when you got sports spread across 5 or so different apps.
So the only solution to that is have multiple TVs, right?
Yes, multiple TVs.
Yeah, and I've done that.
You have your TV, you have your laptop, and you have your phone.
Yeah.
All going at the same time.
I have had 2 TVs in the living room, but it is.
Have you ever seen? We talked about it when we brought him on. Have you ever actually seen it on social media? Kelly Ford's Saturday football viewing room.
I think I saw it one time. It's just ridiculous.
It's crazy.
He's
got an array of 5 TVs on the wall. The one in the middle is probably something like an 85-inch TV in the middle, and then he's got 4 40-inch TVs or 42-inch TVs on either side of that.
That's ridiculous.
And then he's got another TV that he rolls in on a cart like it's high school and it's documentary day.
Right, you bring the TV in.
He brings that in and he
projector.
sets that up, and then he can still watch on his laptop and his phone. It's absurd.
So
how do you consume that much? Like at that point, if you're trying to watch 9 games, are you watching any games?
I'll tell you what, there's truth to that. I know we got to run to a break, but I will tell you there's a lot of truth to that because even on multi-view, Diesel, the last few times I've watched multi-view, I will catch myself thinking, okay, what am I doing here? Let me just flip back to one.
Content overload.
It is.
Content overload.
And I'm the same way. I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. You have 4. Now, here's my problem.
And you miss the moments.
You miss the moments. During college football season, if I have people over, you think, okay, you want to have multi-view, but then it's like, well, what are we watching?
What are you listening to? Because if you're just watching it without pretty soon, Cole, you're going to have to get those, like, when you go to a bar and they got that speaker.
Yeah.
That you can set on your table and you can tap into whichever game's audio you want to. You're going to have that for your own living room.
Yeah, I do like it, but at the same time, I'm ADHD, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I can't handle all this. And also, I have one 85-inch TV. I can't have more than one. Like, what am I going to look like if I have an 85-inch TV and then 2 other TVs? I mean,
you're going to look like the man.
Honestly.
Honestly.
I don't know. At some point, enough's enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, what's the number? You could put 2 42-inch TVs underneath it.
Yeah.
Mounted to the wall. Then you have a 3 TV array. Think about it, man.
Yeah, it
Think
sounds
about
nice.
it.
By the way, Gage Wood has
TVs
come
are
back.
cheap these days.
They are cheaper. I don't know how money. Yeah,
I mean,
cheaper.
you can get a store brand.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with a Hisense.
Gage Wood Diesel has bounced back strong after he hit the batter. He struck out 2 in a row.
How about it?
Or I'm sorry, one was a pop-up, foul ball out. Next one was a strikeout.
Look at him. He's got this intensity in his eyes.
I'm telling
he's got
you,
the crazy
this is
look in his eyes.
must-watch. This is must-watch right here.
He's just staring down his catcher, spitting off into the ether.
This is must-watch TV. I don't care about the winner of the game. I just, how rare a no-hitter in college baseball is. Look at those eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's locked
He's a little
in,
nuts.
isn't he?
He's a little nuts. When we come back, Cole, we'll get you to the exciting conclusion of this at-bat and this inning. Foul ball. It
Got
continues. When we come back, Cole, our audio blitz. Breaking ball right over the plate. Swung on and missed. Gage Wood, no-hitter in the College World Series. And his eyes are as big as saucers right now.
I'm telling you, man.
I mean, he is tweaking.
That off-speed pitch that he just threw on that strikeout was as pretty of a pitch that you'll ever see. Tolos, if you're listening to the show right now and you aren't watching this game, it's not because the game's close. It was Gage Wood just threw a no-hitter.
Well, through 8. He's still got to get through the 9th. Because this is the top of the 9th.
Oh, well,
they got to get through the bottom of the 9th.
Oh, Murray State.
Murray State gets to hit in the bottom of the 9th.
Home team?
I guess so. I guess Murray State is the home team. So he's got his no-hitter through 8. He's still got to get through the 9th.
Did I just jinx him?
I hope not.
We
were just misinformed. We didn't call anything. We just
Yeah.
We're just misinformed.
Don't blame me. Arkansas, you're right. Arkansas is batting in the top of the 9th. Okay. Well, guess what? The way that I'd be so nervous. I'd be so nervous if I'm Gage Wood going out in the bottom, Murray State having a chance. I mean, that 8th inning was incredible. I just don't know. I mean, you've got 3 outs, Gage, 3 outs, and you can complete the no-hitter. That's insane.
So while Arkansas is up to bat, and we'll get to the bottom half of this inning here in just a couple of minutes, Cole, let's play some audio from over the weekend. How about this one? The monster putt, 64 feet, 6 inches. J.J. Spaun walks it off to win the U.S. Open with a putt that statistically he had about a 2% chance of making. Here's what that sounded like.
Want to cozy it up. Don't need to make it. 2 putts. One.
Wow.
Was that Nance?
That was Nance. Think about that. This is a broadcast professional in Jim Nance who lost his composure. And oh my God, like his voice broke like a pubescent teenager.
Unpopular opinion here. I don't think that was a good Jim Nance call. It just,
he didn't fill it in with it. I think he was so shocked that it went in.
And I think it was, I don't know, it sounded like the mic was overmodulated a little bit.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves. So ESPN just started releasing their top 10 plays or top 5 plays in college football history, modern, whatever it is, right? And they have played a couple of plays that I'm well familiar with as an Iowa State fan. And the play-by-play guys and the color commentary, they always crush the mic. Every time. Because they lose their minds. They're so excited. They lose their minds, and you get especially the color guy ruins it almost every time. He's just like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, can you believe it? That was crazy.
Yep.
Oh, shut up, dude.
Yep.
Let the play-by-play guy do his job. Stop yelling over him. I know you're excited.
It happened. So I'm with you on that. It's Burns.
I know.
Burns football on Friday nights. Layton Fowler, Sam Clark. They do it. They do it. I
so
think I
hard
have
not
a
to
clip
do.
here somewhere. I can show you an example. But worse than that is I don't like the overmodulation when you yell into a mic. That Jim Nance call, it was crunchy. It sounds crunchy.
Well, let's play it back. You
One
can
more
hear
time.
it again here.
Here's what I'm talking about.
The putt is away here.
It just didn't sound good.
Yeah, he peaks the mic.
So let me tell you what I do.
It literally cannot consume any more audio.
When I call Burns, I have a bad habit of yelling too.
Yeah.
So I hold my mic on my headset. And when a big play happens, you know how the headsets we wear, the mic you can move? I do it all the time during Burns games. I pull the mic back like this. So during a big play, I will literally pull the mic back to where it's not, just crunchy. It's a pet peeve. I guess people out there may not think it's a big deal, but it just drives me crazy.
It's one of those things that makes a broadcast feel bigger when the play-by-play voice can keep their composure, not crunch the microphone.
So here's an example. I'm going to call out Sam Clark, our sideline reporter.
Sam, we
Catching
apologize.
strays.
It's not like you didn't plan for this
He
today.
didn't
It
plan
just
for
sorta
this.
happened.
But here's so this was T.L. Hannah Burns, right? This past season, 2024 Diesel. It was late in the game, and it was 4th and inches. 4th and inches. T.L. Hanna runs a wing T. They're going for it on 4th and inches. Here's the call of what happens all the time. Sideline guys and color guys talking over somebody. Here it is.
The Burns Rebels are going to stop them. The Burns Rebels make a stand on 4th and an index card. The Rebels have the football.
So the wows, it's the wows. It's the it does. It's funny, but you're right. It's like.
Yeah,
it's the excitement.
Those are the calls that you love when it's instantaneous and you're just as excited as they were because I mean, what an amazing scene you just saw. But when you watch them back 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, if it's your college team or your pro team, you're just like, man, I wish the play-by-play guy hadn't just yelled out, "Oh!"
Right.
Oh!
It's so funny. It really is. It really is. All right. How about an NHL call, Diesel? This was third period. Brad Marchand. I hope I'm saying that
Marchand.
correct. Marchand.
Yep.
Like Marshawn Lynch, right? Marchand.
Kind of.
Except add a D there. Brad Marchand, goal in the third period of play. The Panthers were dominant.
Annihilated. We got embarrassed, and thankfully we had those 2 days in between Game 6 and Game 7 traveling back to New York and eventually won.
Here comes Marchand, looks to put a move on Walden, gets the shot away and scores! Another spectacular move by Marchand. His second goal of the night, 6th of the series.
Well, we're both wrong.
What do you say?
Marchand.
That was a great play-by-play call, by the way.
I wonder how much of it has to do, and it's not an excuse for Nance because there's no reason why this wouldn't be the case for Nance.
Yeah.
Just equipment quality.
Yeah, it could be.
Better microphones that can handle more audio, more volume.
Yeah, Odyssey, that's one thing. CBS Sports.
Yeah, well, they have headsets that are designed for this very reason.
Yeah, they do.
Here's a wild one, Cole. The Braves looked really good for a vast majority of the game yesterday against Colorado. Had a phenomenal performance from Grant Holmes. 15 Ks against the Colorado Rockies, yet they still lost the game. What was it, 10-1, 11-1? Just an ugly finish to that ball game. And if I'm Grant Holmes, I am demanding satisfaction from every player and the guy that relieved him afterwards. Like, you owe me a steak dinner, dude, because I gave you 15 Ks and you gave up 10 runs. Come on. Here's what that 15th strikeout sounded like.
And Holmes with 15 strikeouts.
That's about the summary of the Braves season. Just not a lot of
womp womp.
Not a lot of flair. By the way, update for you on this potential no-hitter of Gage Wood, bottom of the ninth. The Murray State batter got hit in the elbow. However, they reviewed it. I think he leaned into it.
Oh.
So
it's getting real.
No-hitter alert, right?
It's still only a 3-0 game, by the way.
Yeah,
it's far from over.
Are they going to call him out?
Game. They
think
called him out.
I think they're going to call him out. So you lean in and, you get hit by the pitch. I think it was the right call. They showed a replay when you were playing that audio, Diesel, and it looked as if the hitter did lean into it. So 1 down for Gage Wood and 2 to go. The Murray State coach is not allowing play to resume, though. He's on the third baseline, and he ain't happy. I mean, you're 2 outs away from your season being over, right? I would imagine why. So we'll update you on that. How about this? J.J. Spaun, Diesel, his Father's Day ended incredible. It didn't start great, though.
Well, today I was running to CVS in downtown because my daughter had a stomach bug and was vomiting all night long. So I was just like, okay. Like, my wife was up at 3 a.m. and she's like, Violet's vomiting, although she can't keep anything down. And so it was kind of a rough start to the morning. I'm not blaming that on my start, but it was just kind of like it fit the mold of what was going on, the chaos. But my daughter always asks me every time Dad goes golfing, she's like, were you the winner today? And I'm just sometimes like, yeah, I was. And then she's like, well, where's my surprise? But so today she's like, you're the winner today. Like, she got to see it. Like, she didn't have to ask me. So that was a really fun moment.
Well, it ended well, but it didn't start great for J.J. Spaun. What did he bogey? Like his first 5? I mean, he
Yeah,
wasn't
it was a
good.
rough start.
It was a rough start for J.J. Spaun, but it was cool to see the way he got his family there, right, to see it. I bet he regretted, though, at 3 a.m. bringing his daughter. maybe not, but congrats to J.J. Spaun there.
So Tolo is calling us out. He says Jim Nantz was not on the call. CBS hasn't had the U.S. Open. So
Oh, I'm sorry. Who was it? Who was on the call?
that's what I'm trying to find the answer to. And oddly enough, this is hard to find.
Well, you know what, Dexter? I couldn't tell because the audio was just
Dan Hicks is saying that NBC uses several two-person pairings. Dan Hicks and Kevin Kisner, and Terry Gannon and Brad Faxon.
so Daniel Hicks was on the call. Is that right?
I guess.
Well, hey, you know what? I apologize to Jim Nantz. How dare I
Jim?
slander Jim Nantz's name?
God.
By the way, strikeout, out number 2.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. This is huge
Now,
right here.
If we call this, you can't crush the mic.
Yeah. This is awesome. Look at the crowd, man. Can you imagine being here right now, by the way?
Could you imagine getting a single right now and ending it all?
I would.
You would get death threats from the state of Arkansas.
What would you do as a pitcher?
I would say,
Gage
take
Wood.
me out now, coach. I don't want to
And
finish
you
this.
just don't say that.
I don't
Diesel.
want to finish this.
Or what would be worse, a single or a home run here, right? Either one.
Either one's bad.
Oh, that was foul ball.
Foul
So
ball,
what's the count?
Straight back.
1-1.
Yeah,
Oh, my
1-1
gosh,
count.
this is
Here's one for you, Cole. Let's see if we can get through something quickly. So God, man, all these audio clips are long, and I don't want to take over the moment that's about to happen here in Omaha as Gage Wood. Look at that. The dude is jacked. The dude is absolutely jacked. Like the shoulders, the big dude. Here we go.
perfect strike.
Strike 2.
He's 1 strike away, Diesel.
Outside of the plate, he was throwing. Let's see a speed anywhere. That was his 118th pitch.
1 more is all he needs.
Unbelievable.
1 more. Look at that crowd, man. They're on their feet.
Yep.
Look at those eyes. I mean, he's locked.
He's
here,
locked
man.
in.
Here we go.
And it's over. It's over.
He did it.
He says, "Let's go."
He did it.
He underlines the Arkansas
He
across
did
his
it.
chest.
Oh,
says,
man.
"Let's go." A no-hitter in the College World Series.
That's unbelievable, man. Like 15-plus strikeouts today. That was one of the coolest performances that I've seen in a long, long time. That is just magnificent.
Looking
man.
to see. This is the first ever no-hitter in the College World Series.
No way. No
First
way.
One.
Are you serious?
There have been. Oh, what? Well, see, look at me. I told you wrong here. I read it wrong. But it's only happened twice. This is the first time since. I know you know this guy, Jim Wixon from Oklahoma State, who tossed a no-hitter in the College World Series in 1960.
Oh, Jim. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows Jim.
Yeah.
Good guy. There was also another Jim Erler from the Texas Longhorns, who threw the first ever no-hitter, who shut out Tufts. Whoever Tufts is, shut them out in Omaha in 1950.
That's impressive, man.
Tufts College?
That is so impressive. Gage Wood, dude.
Tufts University is in Massachusetts.
Okay.
In the greater Boston area.
How about
Tufts, Tufts University mascot, take a guess.
Oh, I have no idea. Beavers.
The Elephants.
Okay.
You were way off.
3rd time ever in College World Series. He struck out 19.
Unbelievable.
And listen to this. Here's what's even wilder. He was a hit by pitch away from a perfect game.
Wow.
That is just remarkable.
And he barely. Now, that's some bad luck.
Hit him in the foot.
You know, that's some bad luck.
It was a bad pitch. Bad pitch.
Okay.
Bad pitch there. He should have been better.
There you go.
He should have been better. Today.
Bird should have had his head on a swivel.
Right. Oh, man, what an effort by Gage Wood. Daily Wires Part 1 is next. Not one Diesel, but two segments of sports headlines. We call them Daily Wires. It's all of the stories that you need to know happening right now that have happened this weekend. Arkansas just defeated and eliminated Murray State. Cinderella story comes to an end. Gage Wood, the third no-hitter in College World Series history. Diesel, not a bad day for Gage Wood.
Yeah, it hasn't happened in 65 years that we've had a no-hitter in the College World Series. Incredible performance.
The reporter asked him after the game what it meant for his coach, Coach Van Horn. Here is what Gage had to say.
I mean, it's everything, you know. Like everybody says, like there's one thing missing in that trophy room of his. You know, he's going to go down as one of the baseball legends. And every day we're working to get that for him.
Congratulations.
We're going to give up quick.
Congratulations.
Woo! Gives you goosebumps there, doesn't it? Gives you goosebumps a little bit. Incredible
really
stuff there by Gage Wood. Diesel, how about this new news? Braves right fielder Ronald Acuna Jr. named NL Player of the Week after batting .619. 13 for 21, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, 8 runs, 1 stolen base, 5 base on balls, and 1 K across 26 appearances. Acuna's doing his job.
Well, it's easy when you've had all this time off, right? you rested up. You're ready to go.
He's fresh. Maybe that's what with the Braves. Maybe that's their plan.
More
all
load
along.
management.
Yeah,
yeah.
The other players just didn't step up, right? They didn't carry him long enough. Yesterday, Shane Van Gisbergen recorded his second career victory on Sunday, winning the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. This weekend, NASCAR will be at Pocono. JJ Spaun, Diesel, you had audio earlier, made a 64
feet 6 inches.
Foot birdie putt.
We posted photos on the Fan Upstate Instagram to show you what 64 feet is. And Cole and I are looking down the hallway at each other.
It's
just
crazy.
Take out our iPhones and just go to regular zoom, no zoom in, no zoom out, to show you what 64 feet 6 inches is.
It's
obviously,
nuts.
if you're familiar with being on a baseball diamond in a while, you know what 60 feet 6 inches looks like. Just add another 4 feet to that, and he just so happens to hit a hole that 3 inches wide, 3.5 inches wide.
Yeah, and his first major title, by the way. How about that for J.J. Spaun?
Wow.
Coastal Carolina defeated Oregon State 6-2 on Sunday to punch their ticket to Wednesday's double elimination round. The Panthers, Diesel, defeated the Oilers on Saturday night 5-2. Domination again to take a commanding 3-2 lead over Edmonton. There's still Game 6. The problem is Diesel is in Florida, and Florida's won 2 in a row. Does it kind of feel like this series is over to you?
Kind of, but, the Oilers are a really good team. Maybe they find some magic and they get the game back. They get the series back to Edmonton for a 7.
Thunder defeated the Pacers on Friday night, 111-104. Game 5 tonight, 8:30. What a night for sports. Game 5 in the NBA College World Series. Shohei Ohtani. By the way, we'll get to that.
Pitching? Yep.
I mean, come on. Tonight, you have UCLA and LSU. Arkansas just defeated Murray State, as we said. Blockbuster deal in the MLB, Diesel. Giants acquired 3-time All-Star Rafael Devers from the Red Sox. I don't know how this makes sense. Maybe
I've heard the words locker room disruptor thrown around about Rafael Devers, so maybe he's a guy that you just don't want to have in the locker room futzing things up.
I'll tell you what, he's just starting to come on strong, too. He's been playing well. But, okay. Also, Diesel, we mentioned this. Shohei Ohtani will make his long-awaited return to the mound. This is what makes him one of the best ever. And guess what? We're going to see Shohei Ohtani 21 months removed from a second repair of a ligament. Diesel, this is huge tonight. This is what makes this guy so special on the mound tonight.
Yeah, expected to only throw 1 inning, maybe 2. So if you want to watch it happen, tune in to the start of the game because you just might miss it.
The Grizzlies traded Desmond Bain, a really good player to the Orlando Magic. In return, they got KCP, Cole Anthony, and 4 unprotected first-round picks. Orlando sent Memphis the number 16 pick in the 2025 draft. In Connecticut, Diesel, Angel Reese had 11 points, 11 assists, and 13 rebounds for her first career triple-double in Chicago's 78-66 win over the Sun on Sunday. At 23 years old, she became the second youngest player to record a triple-double in WNBA history behind only Caitlin Clark, of course, right?
This is like a South Park episode. Simpsons did it.
Yeah.
Simpsons did it.
Well, she did it when she was 22. It's crazy.
There was a wild scene in that game where a player, trying to defend Angel Reese, who had position for a rebound, yanked on Angel Reese's hair. And she had her hair back in two long braids, and she grabbed it very clearly, deliberately grabbed the hair and yanked.
Man.
And Angel Reese turned around like they were going to fight. And somehow Angel Reese still gets teed up.
Ooh.
This is obvious. I mean, it begs the question, why have long hair in that situation?
Yeah, it's kind of like that old WWE. Yeah, it's tough.
It's a weapon. It can be used against you.
It could be. Diesel, the Atlanta Braves, took 2 of 3 from Colorado, improving to 31-39 on the season. Atlanta's off today. Before the rubber meets the road tomorrow, the New York Mets are in town.
Would have been really nice for Atlanta to sweep that series. It would have been really nice for them not to waste an epic Grant Holmes performance with 15 Ks.
Braves now 13 games back in the NL East. And 4-star, last one for you, 4-star outside linebacker Tonola?
I'm going to say Talanoa.
Talanoa, I guess. And his last name is spelled L-L-I.
Eli? Lee?
Nobody knows. Let's just do this. A 4-star outside linebacker.
Just call him T.I.
T.I. I like that.
T.I.
Has committed to USC over UCLA. Let's see here. He was number 53, if you didn't know, in the 2026 ESPN 300. He told ESPN on Sunday one of the highest or one of the latest high-profile additions to the Trojans class, Diesel, who desperately needs players in Southern California right now.
That's the buzz around the sports world. Now, Tolos, it's time for you to get involved. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Call in now. Get yourself on the queue. Be caller number 1, caller number 2. I mean, we got caller number 8 because we got a lot of phone lines here to fill up. Be ready to call in and overreact on this Overreaction Monday. 844-326-3663. Tolos, call in and be a part of the show live each and every Monday at 5 o'clock. You get to sound off. And you guys honestly have not been sounding off like you got a pair as much as you should over the past couple of weeks. So step it up, would you? You got something to say about sports, something you saw this weekend? Now's your chance to do it. 844-326-3663. Save the number in your phone. You can call that number. You can text that number. When you do, it's the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line. You can also jump in the stream on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube and be a part of the show. This is your chance to get a load off, to let it off your chest. What have you got to say about sports? Let's get it started. Bat and lead off, JD, as he always does. JD, what have you got to say?
Well, first of all, thank you for taking my call. Cole, you being the gambler here of the bunch.
I hadn't gambled in a long time.
Yeah, right. Well, I just have a question about this NASCAR stuff. So I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but Shane Van Gisbergen, if you say SVG, it's a cop-out. Just pronounce his name. It's not that hard.
SVG.
Can we stop doing the abbreviation on names for everybody? We got SGA. We got SVG. You got come on now.
I like it. It's
We're going
easy.
to JJS. Who the heck is JJS? Can we just say their names?
Diesel, it's just because they're not all as smart as you are.
Right.
That's
Spell
not
it
the
out
case.
Phonetically.
It just takes a long time to say.
Is it because pronouncing names is hard and people don't want to learn how to say
I think
them?
it just takes so much time, like Shane Van Gisbergen or SVG.
That's like a second.
But it's still a second.
Good God.
It's still SVG.
Yeah, don't save too much time, Cole. Don't save too much time.
I know.
But so my question though, Cole, did you see this stat? I guess you can call it a stat. He had the lowest odds ever to be a winner for a race in the NASCAR race yesterday. Can you explain that for the people when I say he had the lowest odds possible?
Are you saying he had the lowest odds that he's ever had or the lowest odds ever?
Lowest odds ever to win a race.
No, I didn't know that. So you've got me curious now. So I'm looking it up. Yesterday in Mexico, you're talking about, right?
Correct.
I have not seen this stat. I have not seen this.
So basically, it is as close to a guarantee that you can possibly get that he was going to win the race yesterday. And basically, I'm sounding off for a lot of other people, and now I'm kind of thinking about it as well. I would love to hear maybe Dan B., if you're out there listening, what he thinks about it. But for this guy to be 33rd in points, he has basically performed like garbage all year long. And because NASCAR goes to a new road course that most of these guys have never really raced on before, and he wins a race, he is in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That is one of the most meaningless things I've ever seen in my life. He will not do anything once he gets.
But let me ask you this question. So to kind of answer multiple questions, he was you understand why he was the favorite, right?
Oh, absolutely. I understand why he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he, New Zealand background, that's where he's from, the road courses. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. Isn't there one road course in the playoffs?
I think there's actually multiples, but I don't know if there is in the first round.
Okay. So you don't think what you're saying is you think it's pointless for him to be there?
I think that y'all talked about the rules and stuff earlier. Sometimes the wording of them is crazy.
Yeah.
I think that NASCAR needs to look back at this win and you're in thing.
Okay.
I think you should have to be at least in, I don't know, the top 20, maybe the top 25 in points. And if you have a win, then you're in. But if, say, for example, I don't know, who was it a few years ago? Oh, gosh. Justin Haley. He won a NASCAR Sprint Cup race a few years ago because it was rain delayed. And it was basically he just happened to stay out and be the leader, and the race got called, and so he won that race. he wasn't in the playoffs because he wasn't competing full time.
Yeah.
But if he were, he would have been in the playoffs. So there has to just be something, though, that fixes this whole situation of where these drivers are when they win.
You want to take away the automatic qualification that a win grants you. So if you win a race, but you're not inside the top half of the standings, wherever you want to cut that number off, it's fine. But if you get lucky and you win a race, it shouldn't count. Like, you shouldn't make the playoffs just because of that.
Right. Essentially, I mean, I don't hate the automatic qualifier. I don't hate it. I mean, a win and you're in makes sense to me, but to a certain extent, if you're below 30th in the points at that point, let's just say that gets you to the cutoff line instead of automatically into the playoffs. Like, this whole thing has just gotten way out of control, where a person like Shane Van Gisbergen can win this race, and now his whole team and everything is in the playoffs because we all knew that he was going to win the race yesterday.
Well, that's a solid enough take, JD. It took a minute to get there, but that's a solid take that a win should not automatically guarantee you being in the NASCAR playoffs.
Are you JD, saying that there's somebody out there that's more deserving?
Well, I forget the one dude who just got pushed down below it because of it. I want to say maybe Ryan Preece is the guy I'm thinking of, but he has performed consistently all year long, has not won a race. He was 16th in points, but now all of a sudden, because SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, won this race, now all of a sudden he's on the outside looking in. And then the last thing I'll say, and I'll let you guys run, Kyle Busch, what were you doing in that wreck?
I don't think that
if y'all haven't seen his wreck yesterday, definitely look it up. He went in a little too fast and took out way too many cars.
It's a big wreck. Big wreck.
Yeah, shout out to Kyle Busch. Shout out to NASCAR. Y'all be blessed. Not sure.
Thanks,
I'll
JD.
let you run.
I will say the only thing I can say to that is, like, I think there's probably people that agree with JD on that. I do like the fact, though, that winning a race gets you into the playoff because it really emphasizes winning. And, being up there, to his point with Ryan Preece, having the points and being booted down below the line or whatever it is, like, I understand that, but at the end of the day, I want winners to be rewarded, and in this system, the winners of these races are rewarded with a bid into the playoffs. So I don't think I hate it as much as I like it.
Think about it, and I'm watching that wreck right now, JD. Oh my God, he took out like 5-6 cars by trying to come into the turn too hot. Think about this, like, back in the day, it would have been like Boris Said. Remember Boris Said? He was like a road course genius, and he would always perform really well. He couldn't do anything anywhere else, right? He was an average to bottom half of the standings driver everywhere else. But on road courses, they'd say, "Oh, Boris Said he's a favorite to win this thing."
Yeah,
and that guy would have been making playoffs.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when you look at these road courses, Christopher Bell and William Byron, Tyler Reddick, they're good on road courses. But Shane Van Gisbergen, man, he's really, really good on road courses. So I understand what JD's saying, but at the same time, road courses are still a part of the sport. So
what if it refocuses that driver for the playoffs? Yeah. What if that driver found something and had just an insane last whatever it is, playoffs, 10 races, 12 races? Mm-hmm. What if he did that? I mean, the odds aren't high. Like, I get what you're saying here. As a guy who is a road course specialist who does what a road course specialist does at the road course and is gobbling up a playoff spot.
Yeah,
I get it.
And by the way, there's only one road course this year. It's the one in Charlotte. It is the in Concord. It's the Charlotte Motor Speedway road course in October. That's the only road course in the playoffs. So, Tolos, want to hear your overreactions. Continue to text or call. It's Overreaction Monday. That means it's your chance to overreact on something that happened over this weekend in the sports world. 844-326-3663 is the number.
Texter says, who cares about ASCAR?
God, is that what we're calling it now?
Big bold text there. So the texter also says, when my wife lets – no, I'm not reading that. I'm not reading the rest of that texter. Let's see. Dan B says, can't call in right now, but plus 200 is a crazy line for NASCAR for sure. And win and you're in, even if you suck, is kind of lame.
Yeah.
Texter says he uses SGV. It's what's over his door for his name. Well, that's because the font would be so small you couldn't read it on the door, over the door.
John Dog says, why does everyone want to change the rules, JD? It is interesting. It does seem like everybody wants in different sports.
People always want to change the rules to what suits them, right?
Yeah.
People never want to change the rules when it doesn't suit them.
There
to change
aren't
the
many
rules.
people left out there that just enjoy sports like I do.
Yeah.
I just enjoy them. It's always, let's change this. Let's change this. Let's reduce this game. More games, add games, less games. Just enjoy the sports, people.
Stop trying to tweak the rules to create some specific outcome. It doesn't work that way. As soon as you change the rules, something else crazy, unforeseen is going to happen. And then you're going to say, well, we got to change the rule again.
Yeah. My overreaction, Diesel, and we talked about this in the very first segment. We're going to talk about it again at 6 o'clock with the U.S. Open. I'm overreacting, and I'm saying I don't know how to feel about the U.S. Open because I don't know what golf wants. And we talked about this. I didn't love it, but I do have friends that have said the same thing that you say, that you loved it. You loved what happened. I think the people who really follow golf enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I think that maybe the more casuals like me didn't enjoy it just because we looked at the leaderboard and didn't see a lot of names we recognize, right?
So I'm glad you went there, Cole, because I'm taking the opposite side of this for my overreaction Monday. Is everybody complaining about the course being too hard needs to sit down and shut up. Don't try to change the course. Don't try to change what the U.S. Open is because we had an outlier. This year was an outlier over the last 5 years, Cole. And I get it. Oakmont is tough.
Yeah.
And the U.S. Open is specifically set up to be tough, right? It's not like all the other majors where they cut the rough down to like 2.5 inches and they make it nice and cushy for these guys. They were saying yesterday that the rough was cut down to like 5.25 inches. That's tall grass. That's ankle high grass for these roughs. But when you look at the U.S. Open specifically, and we'll get to the other majors here in just a second, this year was by 5 strokes, the worst, quote unquote, or highest winning score in the last 5 years. 2025 U.S. Open, J.J. Spaun won it with 1 under par. 2024, last year, Bryson won it at 6 under. In 2023, Wyndham Clark won it at 10 under. 2022, Matt Fitzpatrick, 6 under, and John Rahm won it in 2021 at 6 under. So, they're not tearing up the course out there, but when you compare it to the Masters, average score over the last 5 years, winning score has been around -11. So,
it's a difference.
I'm not doing the math here in my head, but it's probably around -7. -7 is the average of the last 5 years.
In the difference
for the
you're
Open.
Saying? Yeah, I got you.
So -7 for the Open versus -11 for the Masters versus and the Open Championship. The British Open is so crazy anyway because the weather gets wild. Schauffele won it at -9. Brian Harman won it at -13. Cameron Smith -20. Colin Morikawa -15. Like I don't like watching that kind of golf where they're out there, going 6 under every round.
No, I'm with you on that. My only thing I would say is, tell me if I'm wrong here. I feel as if the Open that we're going to see next month, you wake up in the morning and it's on TV because of the time zone different. I do too. I kind of always felt like the Open was the challenging one because you never knew what you were going to get with the elements of the weather. And I understand the U.S. Open, it's usually a little more difficult. I just think Oakmont, and look, ultimately, if it's every 10 years, I'm fine with it because last year it was Pinehurst. There are less hazards, Diesel, at Pinehurst than there are Oakmont. Oakmont, the rough you mentioned was 5.5 million feet tall. I get that it's a one-off.
And take machetes out there to get their ball.
Maybe I'm okay. Maybe I will land on if it's just a one-off every few years, every 10 years, maybe I'm okay with it. I just don't remember watching the U.S. Open last year and thinking, boy, this is really challenging.
And if that is your criticism. I think that's more of a criticism of Oakmont.
Maybe so.
I think it's that Oakmont is set up to be too hard.
Maybe so.
It's set up to be too hard. Maybe they need to widen those fairways, add another 10 feet on either side. Maybe they need to cut that grass down to about 4 inches instead of 5.5 inches. There are things that they could do, and they specifically set it up for this purpose to be extra hard. But, I don't want to go changing the Open and having it be something that it's not. I mean, the amateurs, they're out there hacking away. I love that element of it. You don't get that at other majors all that often where amateurs play well. I like it. I like it for what it is, man. I don't want them to change it.
Maybe Oakmont is where I had the criticism because you have these old, the Masters. It's organized by Augusta National, right? U.S. Open is USGA. The Open is the R&A or whatever it is. And then we all know that the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow is the PGA of America. That's who runs it. I do think, though, that USGA gets a little more, or I'll say it for you, the United States Golf Association gets a little bit more criticism.
Thank you.
I think they do get a little more criticism, and I think they're known for being the one organizer that's just a little bit tougher than everybody else because of what they do. You said, what did you say? It's been 10 years since it was Oakmont last? Is that right?
9 years ago, yeah.
9 years ago for the U.S. Open. So, look, I like the rotating of the courses. I really do. I like seeing different courses. I love Pinehurst. I thought Pinehurst last year was awesome. I think that's one of the prettiest courses. It's interesting. And it's all, to me, it all comes down to what do the majority of golf fans want? If the majority of golf fans want to see what you saw at Oakmont, then I think the USGA got it right. Did and maybe I'm completely wrong on this. Did the layout and the style at Oakmont hurt ratings or anything? If it didn't, then I'm the only one sitting up here just blabbering away. Maybe it was a great thing. Maybe it was a great tournament. I just, as a casual golf fan, I just didn't find myself interested on Saturday and Sunday. I kind of felt the same way, Diesel, that I felt on Thursday and Friday at Quail Hollow when there was, when I was there, we were looking at the leaderboard, and it was like, who are these guys? But, again, taking no credit away from J.J. Spaun. What was it? Steve, is that right?
Sam Burns.
Sam Burns. Taking no credit away from Sam Burns. He was great until the rain delay.
Yeah.
Scotty wasn't, but it's just it's interesting.
Think about this. Inside the top 10, you had J.J. Spaun, who was a world-ranked top 25 golfer, Victor Hovland, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns. Those are inside the top 10. Ben Griffin, inside the top 10.
Ben played so good this year, too.
Just outside of it, you had Xander Schauffele, you had Brooks Koepka, you had Rory McIlroy. I mean, he finished top 20. He still made $243,000. After his terrible Rory.
Rory did?
Rory made $243,000.
Wow.
Shout out to the one and only amateur who finished inside the cut, Justin Hastings from Australia, I think. I think that's what flag this is. No, I don't think that's the Australian flag. I don't know where this guy's from. Help us out, Tolos. If you know flags, it's a blue flag with the British.
Now you've got me interested.
The British Union Jack in the upper left-hand corner, Justin Hastings, and it's got some sort of a crest in the bottom right corner. I'm not sure what flag that is. Fascinating. Justin
Hastings.
Spelled just the way it sounds.
Cayman Islands.
Cayman Islands. Never in 1,000 years would have guessed Cayman Islands.
Oh, I would have
as
never.
a British colony that uses partly the British flag.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the flag now. It's like they just cropped it out. They just cropped it. It looks like something.
They got a bad GIF and they're bad JPEG and they couldn't stretch it any farther.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Without it looking a little too blurry.
Hey, no offense to the Cayman Islands, but that's a terrible looking flag.
You got to do better. You got to do better. Shuck off the weight, the yoke of the British Empire. It's okay. Be your own thing. Do your own thing. I have another criticism, Cole, of the crowd around 18 after J.J. Spaun hit that winning putt.
Oh, they went stupid.
They started chanting USA.
Oh,
and that was the first thing they chanted as a crowd. He beat Robert McIntyre, who's Scottish, who finished second. He beat Victor Hovland, who's Norwegian, who finished third. But don't make that the first thing you chant. Chant his name. Chant JJ, which they eventually did. But celebrate the man who just did this. Like this was not a country versus country battle down to the finish. This was a standalone performance by an amazing golfer. Celebrate the golfer first before chanting USA. Makes you sound stupid.
I don't know. I think I'm going to disagree with you there. I think I
love my country. But come on. Celebrate the guy who just did this. Make that the first thing you celebrate.
They had to learn his name first. They didn't know who he was. That's why they didn't know his name, Diesel.
They saw his dark complexion. They were like, I'm not sure if he's American or not. Should we chant from him?
That's good stuff. Really good stuff. I'm going to tell you about Ingles Markets, and then we have Marketplace Monday, this time on a Monday. We still have Daily Wires to get to. We're going to jump back into the golf conversation. So much more to get to right here on the Fan Upstate. Jeff, the lawn guy on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line says Oakmont broke its own record for the longest par 3 ever in a PGA 3 times this week. Jeff, appreciate you listening to the show. Gonna have to rename you to Tolo Jeff, the lawn guy, which, by the way, stands for turn on, leave on. That is what we call you, faithful listeners out there that listen to the Fan Upstate, particularly Wire to Wire, 3 to 7 p.m. on 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville. You can also watch the show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
You know what I'd like to see with the U.S. Open? If they're going to rotate courses, play somewhere that's like mountain golf. You know, like play somewhere up in the mountains with extreme elevation changes. Like if any of our Tolos around, and there's lots of places that have holes similar to this, but the Rock at Jocassee has a par 3 that is straight down.
Woo.
Like
make for good, I mean,
it's legitimately scary coming down that hill in a golf cart because you're not sure that the brakes are in great shape, right? So it's got the green's down at the bottom of the hill next to a river, next to a waterfall. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous tee box.
Oh, I'm sure, Jocassee.
But it's got a tiered tee box system where when you're way up at the top, it's probably like 195 yards. And I'm just going to make this number up off the top of my head. It's probably like 195 yards, but it plays like 130. Like you're talking about dropping 50 yards because of the elevation change. Like the tee box that I typically play from, it's not a tee box that I would typically feel comfortable hitting iron off of, not a distance that I'd feel comfortable hitting iron off of, but because of the elevation change, I'm like hitting pitching wedge when it's like 155 yards. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I would love to see them play at a course like that if they wanted to change it up.
Yeah.
But the spectators, you'd have people dying just trying to walk up and down these hills.
It happens. Tolo's Marketplace Monday. Diesel and I will go head-to-head. And that's right, guess a few local sports memorabilia items. If you want to play along and be the lifeline, you can do so. If you think you're good at guessing, like you're back in the day on Price is Right, the phone lines are open at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-3263-663.
We need some sound effects and music for this segment.
Yep, just work like on that for next week. The old Price is Right, right? Yeah, we can do it.
Yeah. So the guess here is not what is it worth, what is it listed for? What's it listed for?
On Marketplace. How good are you, Tolos, at guessing what items may be listed for? Again, you can play along, be a lifeline, dial us up if you want to. Diesel, I'm going to throw a framed, signed Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq.
8x10 poster at you. The description only says...
The wall hanger? Yeah.
It is. It says signed Shaquille O'Neal in a frame. There is a picture on the back where it says like NBA product. You really can't see much of what it is. It does look real. It looks vintage, a little bit older.
Uh-huh.
It's an 8x10. If you want this item, you can drive to Tryon, North Carolina. Not too far of a drive.
Lakers or is it
Lakers?
Magic?
Yes.
Okay.
34. Shaquille O'Neal is dribbling the ball up the court in the yellow on yellow Lakers 34, and his shoe size looks like a 44.
Now, if you got a shoe to go with it, that'd be awesome.
That would be cool, but no.
Yeah, you could use it as a gravy boat when family comes over. I'm going to say that this autographed Shaq poster is listed on Facebook Marketplace right now for $55.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
$55.
Because, I mean, like, Shaq's still around. People love him, but, like, there's a lot of Shaq memorabilia out there.
$100.
$100? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're in L.A., maybe you could get $100. Because over there, like, a cup of coffee costs $100.
$100, yeah.
You go to Starbucks, and it's $100.
So you're going to pass up?
Pass. Okay. Get out of here. $100.
I just want to offer.
I'll wait till it comes down.
Just want to offer.
Here's a really interesting one, Cole. Being a NASCAR fan, you probably know who this artist is, and Dan B probably does as well. You know who Sam Bass is?
Sam Bass?
Sam Bass. He's an artist who paints NASCAR posters.
I don't know who that is.
If you ever saw like any of the painted posters from NASCAR in
Only
the 90s,
okay.
then you know who Sam. Like he's got that style, right?
Okay.
It's legendary. So this is a limited edition Sam Bass poster titled "The Legend Continues," featuring Dale Senior, Dale Jr., Kelly, and Kerry Earnhardt. It's autographed by Senior, Jr., and Kelly. I guess Kerry was busy, couldn't sign it. The poster is mounted on foam board, but it is not framed. It's approximately 29 inches by 20 inches, so 2.5 feet wide. So it's a wide poster, 29 inches wide by 20 inches tall.
Is signed by
Senior, Junior, and Kelly, but not Kerry.
Yeah, I wonder if it was signed before. I mean, like, okay, let me
Had
go.
been signed before Senior died.
Well, I was gonna. Yeah, it's true. Well, maybe. The Earnhardt documentary that just came out on Prime, it shows a lot about the life of Kerry not being in the picture, the older brother that they didn't really know about until they were, I'd say, teenagers to older teenagers. I'm not sure when it was signed. Probably Kerry was probably in the picture. I just don't know how involved Kerry was.
Who looks more like it looks way more like his dad than Dale Jr.
Yeah,
does.
like I said, they didn't know about him for a while. Junior and Kelly didn't.
Right.
If you haven't seen the documentary, by the way, that just came out on Prime a couple of weeks ago, I've watched the 3 episodes, I believe. It is fantastic. So I'm gonna say, and it's a picture. What's the picture of?
It's got a couple of pictures of their cars.
Yeah.
It's not a photo. It's a painting.
Yeah.
But it's got Dale Senior, Dale Jr., Kerry, and Kelly. It's got Senior's car underneath it, not the BF Goodrich number, the black number 3. It's one of the older cars.
Yeah.
And it's got a Dale Jr. car painted on it as well.
And the size, one more time.
29 by 20.
It's a good size.
29 by 20, yeah.
Good size.
So 2.5 feet wide, 2 feet tall.
Yeah.
Roughly.
I'm going to say, I'm going to strike out on this, I'm sure, but I'm going to say $175.
That's a deal, man. It's only listed for $50.
Oh, wow.
You can get it right now.
That'd be cool. It'd be cool to have in here.
It's a cool item.
Where's it listed at?
I don't remember. I did not grab that part of the listing.
I like that, though. I like that. I'll tell you this. I have a lot more, not to go on a tangent, I have a lot more appreciation today for Dale Earnhardt than I did. Even though I, have always known who Dale Earnhardt was, Diesel, I didn't have that appreciation until I watched the documentary.
Do you think we're getting to a point, and this is a sad point, that every famous musician, every famous athlete gets to at some point? Are we getting to the point where the people who really care about the Earnhardt family and legacy, like, it's kind of over?
Well, they're getting old and they're dying.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, like, are people over, like, the young audience? Do the young NASCAR fans care about Dale Sr.?
The young ones probably don't.
Right.
But the
older ones
they
do.
probably appreciate them. They just don't know. And again, until I watched that documentary, that there was a lot of the documentary that even Dale Jr. didn't know about, in terms of some pieces of video and stuff. You watch that documentary, at least for me, and I walked away thinking, I know Richard Petty has all these wins, and I know David Pearson has all these wins, but the impact that Dale Earnhardt had on the sport, he's the best ever.
It's like when you hear people talking about Kareem, when you hear them talking about legendary baseball players and basketball players of the past, it's just a name to you. It's kind of a stat line, and that's it. But if you weren't there, if you didn't live through it, then you don't understand the impact that those players had.
All right, my last one. I've got a Panthers jersey framed, game worn by Julius Peppers.
Okay.
It is signed by Julius Peppers to the left of his name, the white jersey with the big number 90. Okay. It was just listed 7 hours ago, so this is still fresh. This is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Imagine that, right? 90. It's framed. It's a big, nice frame. It looks really good. It's in good quality.
Okay. Well done. I'm going to say that this is listed for $250.
Oh, you're close. You're really close.
$275?
A little low, $300. $300.
I mean, I guess Julius Peppers is a legend.
Legend.
He deserves a lot of credit. I'd be willing
He's a beast.
to bet $100 of that is in the frame.
I couldn't spend $300 on it. I just that's a lot of money for a jersey.
So I'm going to give you a little hand on this one. I got 2 of these, so I'm going to qualify the answer. Maybe this helps you, maybe it doesn't. Okay. Everybody knows about Titleist Pro V1s.
Yeah.
Best golf ball on the planet. It's what all the pros play, most of them at least. Dick's Sporting Goods right now has a sale on a dozen Titleist Pro V1s for $50. $50 for a dozen.
Oof.
So that's $4.16 a ball.
Oof.
Okay. Someone on Facebook Marketplace is selling 3 sleeves of Masters logoed Titleist Pro V1s. How much are they selling each sleeve for?
Random guess. $300.
No, come on.
No?
That's way high.
Okay,
That's
100,
way high.
125.
Still way high.
Is it?
$25. $25 for 3 golf balls.
Oh,
that comes out to,
I didn't know it was only 3.
Yeah, a sleeve is 3 golf balls.
I did not know that.
So they're trying to sell them.
I was thinking
$25.
when you said sleeve, I was thinking like.
Yeah, that's so they don't have a complete
Okay.
dozen here. So they're breaking them apart. But that's roughly $8.30 a golf ball as compared to a brand new Pro V1, which is $4.
See, I should have asked you how many
ball.
balls are in a sleeve.
So I guess the Masters logo doubles the price.
Yeah, I did not know how many were in the sleeve.
One more for you here, Cole. This one's a tough one here. Okay, a wall-sized Masters leaderboard with removable stickers. The listing
cool.
says, so you can set it up however you want. The listing says, I used it for my son's first birthday, haven't used it since, which is by far one of the widest things I've ever heard somebody list and say in a Facebook Marketplace listing, that they bought this thing for their son's first birthday.
That's weird.
That he will absolutely in no way, shape, or form have any recollection of whatsoever. So what are they trying to get for the wall-size Masters leaderboard? It looks just like the one on the course there in Augusta. It's got all the pars listed across the top. It's got space for about 4 leaders' names and their scores.
I'm gonna be way off on this. I'm gonna say 125.
You're way low.
Oh wow.
Not way low, but you're low.
How about 350?
$300. Who's gonna pay $300 for this?
$300.
$300 for something roughly twice the size of that giant Furman Paladins football.
He might be
flag
keeping
behind
that.
you.
Might be keeping it. He might be.
Yeah, we gotta stop these people from.
Oh, by the way, real quick, I gotta pull this up. I gotta pull this
first
up.
birthday.
This is funny, real quick. You remember last week I responded to that guy? What did he have listed? Help me remember here. There was something crazy.
Oh.
Hold on, I responded to him. What was it? Hold on.
We said, what is wrong with you asking this?
I've got like 8 million conversations about used cars right now. But I responded, Diesel, to, oh man, I can't even remember what it was. And the guy sent back this entire long message.
Oh, he got mad.
Yeah, he was not happy. And I can't remember what it was. I really don't remember.
Cole upsetting people.
It was something to do with market.
We did it on Tuesday, so it had been the 10th.
I can't find it. I got it.
It was like $1,000.
It was the matchbooks.
Oh.
It was the UNC matchbooks. I said, are you flipping kidding me? $1,000 for matches? He said, people are selling them for $25 a book. That's over $1,000 there, and it's the only, all caps, unopened set you will find. No! ! I'm not kidding.
It's not unopened because he's got one of the matchbooks sitting on top of the box.
That's so funny.
To show it off in the post. It's not unopened, you idiots.
He's a little too high. By the way, they're still for sale.
Oh, are they still listed at $1,000?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
Good
luck to you.
When we come back, Cole, let's put the finishing touches on our Daily Wires because we got so much more to get to. loaded with sports stories, Cole. Over a long weekend, we get some extra news to talk about. These are Daily Wires Part 2.
Girl, you something else.
Oh, my mic was off. I was doing the buzz, but my mic was off.
Do it again. I think you got to do 2 buzzes since this is Part 2. There you go. Okay. Now it sounds like we're in a dance club.
I was clicking on the music you hear right now, and I accidentally clicked on Kim Mulkey.
Girl, you something else.
It's one of those days.
On this date in 1993, Michael Jordan made NBA history. He scored 55 points in the finals game number 4. He became the first player to score 50 in the finals. 5-star defensive end. God, we're just going to call him JM, I guess.
Jay Raylan.
Is it Jay Raylan?
No.
Jaraylin
Who
McCoy.
knows?
Good God. Has committed to play at Florida. He is securing his place
Big
as the
time.
top-ranked pledge for the Gators in the 2026 recruiting class.
That's big.
He's 6'7", 260 pounds, from Tupelo, Mississippi, and ESPN's number 9 overall prospect.
I see you, Billy Napier.
Yeah.
I see you, man.
Yeah, put
Big
his
time.
back against the wall, and old Billy can recruit. Wisconsin was placed on a 1 year's probation and fined $25,000 after an NCAA investigation showed that 9 coaches and staffers made impermissible phone calls to recruits in 2023.
Surely not.
Former defensive line coach Greg Scruggs and former director of player personnel Max Steinecker received 1 year show cause orders. Scruggs is now an assistant defensive line coach for the 49ers. Steinecker is USC's executive director of personnel.
Where's this at? Wisconsin?
Wisconsin.
Don't you feel like, though, if you're Wisconsin and these other schools that aren't good at football, you should be able to cheat?
You got players getting offered millions of dollars to bounce from school to school to school, and we're putting show causes on them for impermissible phone calls.
Let some programs cheat.
Make it
come
make
on.
sense. This feels like the cookie cake situation from a couple of years ago with South Carolina. It's okay to give him a cookie cake, but you can't write his name on it in Gamecock
my
Garnet
gosh.
icing because that's a recruiting violation.
It's bad.
Speaking of which, Cole, here, this is a wild one. Elite College Football reports that Lenora Sellers was offered a 2-year, $8 million NIL deal to leave South Carolina. Obviously, he didn't. Lenora's dad says, "We didn't come here to make money. We came here to get our education,
Love
play
that.
ball, and with schools calling, we're not going to jump ship because they're offering more than what we're getting.
Wow.
If
Wow.
it ain't broke, don't fix it."
Can we not just clip that?
More
quote?
of that guy.
Oh, my gosh.
More Father of the Year.
I've never met Lenora Sellers' dad, but are you kidding me? That guy
Yeah.
gets it.
Yep.
I love that.
For the first time in a couple of months, there's some optimism surrounding Trey Hendrickson's future with the Cincinnati Bengals. The two sides have resumed communication on his contract and future with the team.
That's big time. Didn't we just talk about that a couple of weeks ago?
Yes,
with,
he did.
Guys that are, in holdouts right now. That's good. That's a good sign if you're a Bengals fan.
2024 was an all-pro season for him. He was the NFL sack leader with 17 and a half sacks. He says he remains steadfast in his desire for a long-term contract extension.
They're just not going to have any money left over. That's the only thing.
Yeah. The Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs, and Houston Rockets are Phoenix Suns' Kevin Durant's preferred trade destinations. People across the NBA have been made aware in recent days that those are the 3 teams Durant would commit to with a long-term extension. Durant is on an expiring $54.7 million deal for the 2025-26 season, and the Suns have made it clear to the 6 to 8 seriously interested teams that they will make the best deal for the franchise, even if it means trading Durant to a team outside of his preferred list.
Okay, so those 3 again are Miami, Houston, and San Antonio. I think those 3 would be good fits. I think him in Miami's the most intriguing.
Him in San Antonio with Wemby.
But I think him in San Antonio is the smartest.
Yeah,
it'd be really tough.
I mean, does it diminish players in your eyes when they bounce from team to team to team to team to team?
Not me.
Well, I mean, we talked about Russell Westbrook last week, who was wanting a trade and would be on his 7th franchise.
Yeah.
Here we go, Cole. The New York Knicks are planning to meet with Mike Brown, the former Sacramento Kings coach, and former Memphis Grizzlies coach Taylor Jenkins next week for their head coaching jobs. The meetings will mark the first stage of formal interviews for the Knicks job, and more could come. Brown interviewed for the Knicks job in 2020 and made a strong impression before they ultimately hired Tom Thibodeau.
Don't get me wrong. Mike Brown is a really good coach. Taylor Jenkins did a really good job. But you're firing Tom Thibodeau to hire Mike Brown or Taylor Jenkins. Congratulations, New York. You New York.
Downgraded.
What are you doing?
The Hub City Spartanburgers were swept by Wilmington last week and have now lost 7 games in a row. They're off today, back in action tomorrow night at Bowling Green. They are also now sub 500.
Yeah, it's not good. They, I was there. I tried to will them through Friday and Sunday. They're not playing good right now. Don't get me wrong, Wilmington, really good team. Also want to give a shout out to Dorman's TJ, I'm blanking on his last name, but Dorman's TJ, Cole's blanking on his last name, who had a really good performance for Wilmington. He was in town. A lot of Dorman fans were there. I saw on Friday night. TJ White. There we go. I finally got it. And he hit a home run on Friday night. He's back in his home city showing out. Congrats to him.
Jeff the Lawn Guy says, did you guys see where Lenora Sellers turned out $8 million? Yeah, Jeff, we just talked.
Wow, how about that?
I mean, we're simpatico, man. We're thinking about the same things at the same time.
Good timing.
And those are your daily wires.
It's all the top stories, all the top headlines happening in the sports world. Tolos, did you watch the U.S. Open? If not, you can be educated. You can get educated right here on the Fan Upstate Diesel. I'm going to dive into the U.S. Open conversation next.